Okay. Use proportional reasoning to answer the following. Show your work. If a pump draws 50 gallons per minute, how long in minutes and seconds would it take to fill a hot tub with a volume of 1,500 liters? So there's a problem, right? Gallons and liters. So it's up to you what you want to do there. I'm going to convert the gallons to liters. Okay. Nope, sorry. 1 gallon has 3.79 liters, so gallons cancel out. Do I need to change my time? No, it's pretty good because you want it in minutes and seconds, so just leave it. I'm going to go and multiply that out. My answer key says 189.5 liters per minute. That's the equivalent, right? It's exact same rate, it's just in different units. Next, I'm going to do this part. So, when it's asking how long, and you see that there's only one unit, right? That's proportional reasoning mixed up with rates, definitely proportional reasoning. So I'll say that if it's 189.5 liters in 1 minute, then I'm asking myself 1,500 liters will take X number of minutes. So I cross multiply and divide. Just for the sake of time here, I'm just going to give you the answer. That is 7.9155 something minutes. Okay, so if I just ask you for time, guys, just time, this is good enough. But if I ask you minutes and seconds or a specific format, you need to keep going a little bit. So let's do that here. I'm going to cut this, and hopefully that fits in here. So I know this is 7 minutes and blank number of seconds. Okay, so basically what I do is I just take this. If you ever have this on your calculator, the easiest part would be, let me just do this real quick. You get that, right? Take away the 7, so you're left with the partial minute, okay? And just in this case, you say it's 0.915 something minutes, and you know that 1 minute has 60 seconds, so essentially you're going to be multiplying that by the 60. Okay, so this would be 54.93, and we round that to, in this case, 55, right? Because the 9 bumps that to, because if you went to the nearest second, this would be 55 seconds. Okay, and then you get your seconds there. Does that make sense?
Do we always round up to the nearest, or?
For in here, or are you talking B?
For a different question.
Which question?
B with the doses and vials.
Oh yeah.
Do we just round up all the time to the nearest one, or does it have to be stable?
When I'm asking you, that's a good question. I will usually say, I will try to say no partial quantities allowed, okay? But if I ask you for number of cans, number of people, number of things, then you have to round to the nearest whole number. It asks for the number of vials, right? So you need to round in that case. Yeah. Good question. I noticed that I didn't give you the fuel economy formula yet. So I want to do that. We're going to go back a few pages to the front. I think it's somewhere on the margins. I'm trying to find it. Oh yeah, page 7. Page 7. So if you have your study sheets handy, you might want to add this formula. So 7 at the very top. That question right there. I'm going to give you the formula for fuel economy. This is a standard way that, at least in Canada or in North America, this is, I would say specific to Canada. The US is special, okay? They do miles. So to figure out the fuel economy, we basically just take the liters of fuel divided by distance, and we multiply that by 100. Okay? And your answer is in liters per 100 kilometers. So you always want to have this attached to your final answer. So this is on page 7. This is fuel economy. So if you want to add that to your study sheet and call this fuel economy, from time to time it does show up. And if it doesn't show up on this test, it could show up on a different test, because I do ask questions from previous units across the board. So as you write your tests, you're going to find stuff from other units on there. And that's why you want to build your study sheet. So here we go. Car A uses 32 liters to travel 500 kilometers. Car B uses 11.5 gallons to travel 300 miles. Which one has the better fuel economy, right? So I'm going to ask you to use this to compare. Okay. So car A, the fuel economy would be 32 divided by 500 times 100. And that is, if you might have come across this one already. If you do this on your calculator, you round to 2 decimals, but this one ends up being 6.4 liters per 100 kilometers. It's important, but it's not the final answer, okay? So I circle my final answer. So this car uses 6.4 liters for every 100 kilometers it drives. Okay, car B. There's a problem, right? We have fuel is in gallons and the distance is in miles. So you have to do converting. You have to convert. So I'm going to go 11.5 gallons. Can you see that? I hope so. I'm going to go 1 gallon has 2.2, no. What is it? 3.79, right? I'm testing you. That's why I make mistakes from time to time. Sure. We almost believe you. If you met my wife, she would tell you I'm perfect. Hopefully she won't watch this video. All right. That many liters? So I converted my gallons to liters. I'm going to convert my 300 miles to, she's perfect though. That is true. My wife is perfect. 300 times 1.6093, 482.79 kilometers. Okay, so now you have liters and kilometers. Now we can do the fuel economy for car B. Okay. So you go 43, don't round because you're still in the process. This just happened to be both finite decimals. I don't know if you remember your finite decimals. It means that it ends, right, on your calculator. It actually ends at 585, so it didn't round. Okay. And then it's 482.79 kilometers times 100. If you do that, okay, I have this on my screen, so I'm just going to copy paste. I'm going to go up to 43 divided by 482 and then multiply that by 100. You get 9.03. Here's when I round. Liters per 100 kilometers traveled. Okay, also important. So which car is better? Which one has the better fuel economy, A or B? If you were driving and then you had to pay for gas, which one would you say is better? Which one uses less gas? A, right? Yeah, you want the lower amount, like the fewer liters that car uses, the better it is in this case, okay? So, car A, the better fuel economy. All right. And I know some of these are blank, possibly because you either didn't do the homework or I didn't go over it, and that is part of learning. Okay, so you own your learning. The more you do, the more prepared you will be, the better you can actually ask questions. Okay. You won't know what to ask if you didn't do it. That's just bottom line. Okay. Any other questions? Fuel economy, now you know. Add it to your study sheet. You might want to, if you're into highlighting, that is, if you flip through it, it's like, oh yeah, fuel economy, right? That's probably a good one. Okay, we're going to switch gears a little bit. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, that's a good question. 14? Yeah, you know what? I'm going to do it because it's worthwhile doing. I'll do it with you guys and explain that. Sorry, we're jumping a little bit, I know. This is the one unit that the province doesn't tell us really what exactly they want. And to be honest, I teach grade 12 applied. I use this unit to get you ready for grade 12 applied. So I'm kind of sneaky that way, okay? Page 14, if you're still wondering, where are we? Page 14, question B at the very bottom there, 4B. A small community has 2,800 people and needs to order enough vials. Okay, so those are the bigger containers that have the vaccine, the chemical, right? Pfizer brand. You can only guess when I wrote this, right? I was probably in my basement and you were all home joining online, right? That's when I wrote this question. Pfizer brand to administer 2 doses, so that's important, right? 2 doses for each person. 1 dose of Pfizer has 0.3 milliliters, and 1 vial has 1.9 milliliters. So units are okay so far, they match. We should probably highlight 2,800 people. To account for spoilage, meaning, you know, sometimes some gets lost, the nurses, when they squirt up, some gets, right, wasted, right? For account for that, there's going to be an extra 5%, right? Order an additional 5% of vials. So determine how many they need to order. No partial quantities, that means whole numbers, right? Whole numbers. That's what that means. And I was asked the question, when do I round? It's when it's the number of. Okay, that's the key there. Number of people, number of cans, then you want to round to a whole number. Okay? Okay, so let's do this. I'm going to actually walk you through it. So how many do I need? I need 2,800 doses, or people, and they each get 2 doses, right? And this answer will be multiplied by 0.3 milliliters. So I'm going to ask myself, how much do I need in total? Okay? And if I did it differently on my key, that's fine. So this is what? 5,600 times 0.3. So I need 1,680 milliliters worth of chemicals, right? All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to multiply right here. I'm going to multiply it by 1.05. And here's the reasoning. On the side here, if you haven't done this already, I'm going to ask you to think of it this way. There's 100%, right? The original dose, and we're gonna add 5% extra to what we originally have. What would that amount to? 105%, right? And if you turn that into a decimal, meaning you got to take this and divide it by 100, that would be 1.05. So you know when you find a percentage of a number, you turn it into a decimal and you multiply it by the number? So that's what we're doing here. You basically multiply this by 1.05, okay? So this, if you want to highlight this part, that's what I'm doing there. So if I asked you to add 15%, what would you do? Multiply by 1.15, right? That's basically what it is. So that's how you add, okay? That's a quick, you're young, you buy a lot of stuff at stores. You want to buy a PS5, right? You go to Best Buy or Xbox, whatever. Okay? If you want to know how much you're going to pay after taxes, what would you multiply the price by? 1.12. Because taxes in Manitoba for most things are 12%, right, combined? So you just 1.12 there, okay? So that's a quick way of adding. All right, so you do that. You multiply it by 1.05, so that's 1764 is what you need after all. Need it. Okay? And I'm going to break that off. So I always kind of think of, well, how much do I need, okay, in total? And now I'm going to figure out the vials. Vials required. I'm going to take the whole amount, 1764 mLs, and I'm going to divide it by 1.9. Okay? So essentially the units cancel out. So you just divide it by 1.9. So that's 928.421 and something. Is that correct? Or did I make a mistake? You got to stop me, guys, if I'm off. It looks right. This one I don't, my key is somewhere lost on the back there. Is this good? Is this what we got on the answer key? Yeah. Yes. Okay, good. So we need to say, what would you say? Would you order more than 928 or less than 928 if you were in charge of ordering? More. Yeah, you'd order more, right, in this scenario? So just make sure you clearly answer, right? Like this is my final answer, okay? The province would be okay with you saying 928 or 929 as long as you know you have to round to a whole number. So, does that answer your question? It should have been shorter, right, the answer? I know. I'm very bad at giving short answers. Okay, we're going to do a little bit of Reynolds now. This is important as well. So we're going to go back a little bit in our booklet. We're going to go to page 8. I will stop this video and start it again because it's kind of like a different section.